Okay, so today I'm going to show you how you're going to complete your color theory worksheet. The first part is the color wheel. So you're going to use the three primary colors. In your palette, you're going to have blue, yellow, and red. And you will use those three colors in order to mix all of the other colors. So this is pretty standard, and you guys should know this already by now from elementary school. But when you mix red and yellow, that's going to make orange. Red and blue makes violet, and yellow and blue make green. We're going to start with the primary colors because they're already here for us and we don't have to mix them up. First thing you're going to want to do is you're going to get your brush a little wet. And then if you have extra water on your paintbrush, like it's very drippy, you can drag it along the side of your cup, or you can use your paper towel to get any drips off. But please do not tap. When you tap, it splatters the water and the water will eventually be dirty. So one of the biggest mistakes that people make when they first start painting is their paintbrush is scratchy. So this paintbrush I have not gotten wet. So I'm just going to go ahead and dip here into the red. And this looks like it's coming on to my paper pretty nicely. Notice how I'm pulling the line rather than trying to push the paint towards the edge. So pulling the line across will help make it have better craftsmanship, so it'll be a nice sharp line. But if you notice, my paint starts to get scratchy. So there are a couple of things that you can do. You can either get more paint, or you can add more water, or you can do a little bit of both. So I'm gonna get some more water over here and add a little bit more of the red paint onto my paintbrush. And you can see that it is applying more smoothly. And then I'm pulling my paintbrush to get that nice crisp edge. This is practice, so if you get outside of your line, that's fine. But you know, when you practice, you wanna practice to the best of your ability. So you wanna try and make it as smooth as you can, as crisp as you can, and as opaque as you can. Okay, so here is red. Notice you can see the type beneath the paint. So if you don't like that, you can always add another layer after it's dried, or if it doesn't bother you, it doesn't bother me. All right, so now we're gonna move on to orange, because obviously now you know how to paint inside the circle. And when you are mixing your colors, you're gonna use the tray that your palette is on. And you wanna make sure that you keep the paint just on the bristles and not on the ferrule. You wanna keep that away from there. So if it starts to build up too much up into here, then it's harder to control whenever you're putting it on your paper. I'm gonna go ahead and dip and get quite a bit on my bristles. So if you can see that, I'm gonna place that over to the side here. And then before I dip into my yellow, I'm going to wash my paintbrush off. We want to keep our colors as clean as possible. Obviously accidents happen and sometimes things don't get as rinsed off as we would like, but we're going to try our best to keep it nice and neat. So I rinsed off my paintbrush here. I'm not tapping to get the extra water off. I'm going to use my paper towel, and then I'm going to dip into my yellow. And then I'm gonna use my paintbrush to mix it up. So if this is a hue that you like, I think this is still a little too red for my taste. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try and get as much paint off of my bristles. I'm gonna rinse it off. Get that extra water off, dip into the yellow, and mix it up again. All right, that looks pretty good to me. So I'm gonna go ahead and paint inside my circle. And there I go. Okay, so you're gonna do this all the way around. In between colors, always rinse your paintbrush, trying not to mix or muddy up the colors. And then when you're done with this, then you're gonna move on to your tints, shades, and tones. So your tint, we've already learned, is a color plus white. So I have my rinse paintbrush. I think what I'm going to do is use blue since I have not done that yet. So I'm going to go ahead and pull some blue out of my palette. I want to put it onto my tray. Once again, I'm going to wash off my paintbrush. And then I'm going to grab some white and mix it up. So this blue, this tint of blue, this light blue, is going to go in the space here where it says tint. When you mix white into a color, at least this kind of white, the titanium white that we have, it makes the paint more opaque. See, I accidentally got out here, that's fine. So you don't have to give it as many layers. That'll be nice whenever you make your hex sign. Now we already have our tint here. So we know that a shade is a color plus black, and black is very dominant, so you only need a little bit. And our tone is a color plus black and white. So I already have my blue plus white. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try and get as much of that off, rinse my paintbrush, and then pull just a small amount of black. You can see it's just a little bit on the bristles. You don't need to do a lot. Black is a much more dominant color. And then here I have my blue plus white plus black. And here is my tone. Practice pulling the line instead of pushing the paint. The black is transparent, so you can see how that is a little bit more see-through. Okay, so here's my tone. Now what I'm gonna do for my shade is I'm gonna use the little bit of blue that I haven't touched yet, but I already pulled it out. I'm gonna rinse my paintbrush. So this is just black and blue. Black is very dominant, just a small amount. I'm gonna try and stay clear of the area where I have any of the white paint. I'm gonna need some of more of that blue, a little bit more of my black. You can also mix the colors up a little bit better if you want on your paper. All right, there we go. So we will have our color wheel finished, and then when you're done with that, you can go on to your tint, shade, and tone. And then when you're completely done with your practice, you can put it on the drying rack. Happy painting.